Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'inu ala umuri dunya waddin. Asyhadu an
Recording
la
in
ilaha
progress.
illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli amma ba'd. The Honorable Rector of Sultan Agung Islamic University, Profesor Dr. Haji Gunarto, SMH. The Honorable the Dean of Faculty of Law UNISSULA, Dr. Bambang Tribawono, SMH. The Honorable the Vice Dean on Financial Affairs, Dr. Arpangi, SMH. The Honorable the Head and Secretary of Doctoral Program in Law, Faculty of Law UNISSULA, Profesor Dr. Haja Anis Masduro Hatun, SHM Hum, and Profesor Dr. Haja Sri Indah Yuningsi, SHM Hum. The Honorable all the invited speakers on this conference, Professor Heng Eding from Utrecht University, Professor Henning Glaser, the Director of CPG Germany, Professor Shimada Yuzuru from Nagoya University, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Azam Hussein from Malaysia, and our beloved Dean, Associate Professor Bambang Tribawono, SMH. Ladies and gentlemen, the participants of the International Conference by the theme Development of a National Law System Based on Humanism Value to Welcome the Revolutionary Era 5.0. We would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this international conference. And for your information, this conference is held by the students of Doctoral Program in Law, Faculty of Law, UNISSULA. And we appreciate you taking time off your busy schedule to join us today. We hope you will find that this seminar we have lined up for you to be fruitful and engaging.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's start our seminar today by saying Basmalah. Bismillah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
For the next sessions, reciting the Holy Quran by Miss Himmati Alimatun Nafi'ah, SHMH.
Oh, Miss Himati Nafi'ah, the stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhalladzina amanu idza qila lakum tafassahu fil majalis وإذا قيل انشزوا فانشزوا يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير والله بما تعملون خبير صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على رسول الله وآله الأطهار على رسول الله وأصحابه الأخيار والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Singing Indonesia's national anthem and hymn UNISSULA. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
balap. Solo. Lontong balap itu banyak.
Well, ladies and gentlemen who are in Zoom platform, could you please mute your phone? Bapak Ibu yang bersama kami melalui platform Zoom, berkenan untuk memute mikrofonnya agar seminar kita berjalan dengan lancar. Terima kasih.
Now, we call upon Professor Dr. Haji Gunato SH, SA, AKT, Hukum, to give welcoming remark and officially open this seminar.
For Prof. Gun, the time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarika lah. Wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amma ba'du. The Honorable, the Dean of Faculty of Law, Universitas Islam Sultan Agung Semarang, Dr. Bambang Tripawono SHMH, the Honorable Head and Secretaries of the Doctoral Program in Law, Faculty of Law, UNISSULA Semarang, Profesor Dr. Anis Masturhatun SHMH, and Profesor Dr. Sri Endah Wahyuningsi SHMH. The Honorable All Speaker at the International Conference, Professor Dr. Heng Eding from Utrecht University, Netherlands, Belanda. Professor Dr. Henning Klesser from Thammasat University, Thailand. Professor Dr. Simada Yasuru from Nagoya University, Japan. Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Azam Hussain, Universitas Utara, Malaysia. One of the issue that has become a matter of concern and discussion in the last decade is globalization. Although substantially it has a different material of discussion. However, the meeting point of the discussion can be seen with them that look at the dangers posed by the globalization. Both at the economic, cultural, moral, and legal system. This is because globalization and global transformation make many well-established joint and norm of life have to experience safety, fiction, clashes, or even mutually negative and dominate with external values, normal, and system. So that at the behavioral level, it gives rise to a completely new pattern of behavior and tend to ignore the norm and moral order that have been had by most people. For example, the norm of consumptive life, demand for gender equality, individualistic, hedonistic attitude, and so on. The sheep and king don't only account of the individual level, but also account at the level of group or communication or countries. Why a lot of this thing can be seen. For example, democracy in all areas of life, the strong desire of the people to participate in determining and controlling of course of government. The desire to separate domain that are private or public or state. The need for recognition and protection of human rights are some of the things that have taken place believed to be the implication to globalization. Not only that globalization had also been seen as a kind a new religion, namely a new form of belief that has emerged in society with all things that lead to better conditions are expected to be achieved. For example, democracy, liberalization, recognition, and protection of human rights are some on the new belief that have emerged in society. Emancipation and gender equality are also beliefs that have emerged along with globalization in the economic. In simple terms, the concept of emancipation and gender equality is concept where women want what men do as well as feel that women can do, whether in politics, economic, and so on. In the economic field, there is a tendency of women groups to work, but as a manifestation of effort to improve family economic condition, as well as because of the discourses and equal right that every woman has. So, no mistake, it is seen that almost all jobs in all sector and at all level of work are always found in women. They are commonly known as career women. Even in certain case and conditions, their income career women for exceed the income of their husband. This fundamental change certainly affects social relations in society, including law as a social institution that regulate existing social relation. In relation to the above, the author want to see how the law should be built in this era of globalization, whether by simply adopting the value and normal promoted by globalization, and how the rule and position of value and norm promoted by religion are should religion value and norm be shifted in such a way by value and norm originating from the globalization, or make compromise with existing condition. Therefore, the conference is so essential in this time. Second, we need to discuss put on the law based on humanism values in building a good law system in Indonesia and in the world. That's all my speech. I hope you get benefit for the seminar international. Have a good seminar. And I saying together, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I hereby open this seminar. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof, for the wonderful remark. For the next sessions, doa that will be led by Mr. Rahmat Fauzi, SHI MA.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Marilah kita berdoa sesuai dengan agama dan kepercayaan masing-masing. Namun izinkan saya memimpin doa ini dengan sesuai dengan ajaran agama Islam. Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi rasulillahi ajma'in. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad fil awalin wa salli ala sayyidina Muhammad fil akhirin. Allahumma ighfir lana walidina warhamhuma kama rabbayana shaghira. Mujamil muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat al ahya minhum wal amwat. Allahumma inna nas'aluka salamatan fid din wa afiyatan fil jasad wa ziyatan fi ilmi wa barakatan fi rizqi wa taubatan qablal maut wa rahmatan indal maut wa maghfiratan ba'dal maut. Allahumma hawin alaina fi syaqaratil maut wa najata minan nar wa indal hisab. Allahumma inna nas'aluka ilman nafi'an wa rizqan tayyiban. Allahumma inna nas'aluka wal huda wa tuqa wal afafa wal ghina. Allahumma Rabbana taqabbal minna salatana wa siyamana wa ruku'ana وسجودنا وقعودنا وتضرعنا وتغشعنا وتعبدنا وتمم تقصيرنا يا الله رب العالمين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmad Fauzi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all our activity in opening ceremony. Now, we are in the core of the agenda, the plenary session that will be managed by Mr. Irwansa SLLM. I invite all the invited speakers to come in person. Professor Heng Eding from Utrecht University and Mr. Bambang Tribawon SMH to come forward to sit in the chair in front of us. And also I invite Mr. Irwansa SLLM as the moderator of this wonderful plenary session. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our speakers.
Cek. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Best wishes for all. For all the audience, how are you today? And the audience who join by Zoom meeting, how are you? The audience in Zoom meeting, how are you today? Yes, okay, no matter. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to Master of Ceremony for giving time to me as moderator on the 5 international conference and call for paper under the topic development of a national law system based on humanism values to welcome the revolutionary era 5.0. Of course, this is interesting topic to be discussed because our national law system is on being processed to be better and of course need to be compared with the other legal system in the world. And as the law generation, we have to prepare ourselves how to face the 5.0 so that world-class university UNISSULA has attended the special speaker from several countries in the world. There are 4 speakers from different countries. I want to say hello to Professor Heng Eding, Utrecht University, Netherlands. Give applause. Welcome, sir. Our next speaker, Professor Henning Glaser, Director of CP, Germany. Hello, Prof. Yeah, on process to be contact. And our Professor Shimida Yazuru, Nagoya University, Japan or Thailand. How are you, Prof? And next, our Professor Azam from WM University, Malaysia. And our special speakers today, our Dean, Professor Dr. Bambang Tribawono, SHMH UNISSULA, Indonesia. Give applause. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and for the audience who join on meeting or offline meeting or conference, to maximize the time well, the first I want to give the chance to the professor who joined on Zoom meeting, Professor Henning. Hello, Professor. Okay, well, while waiting the Professor Henning Glaser to prepare, the first time I give time to our speaker, Professor Hen Edding, as the first speaker, and now times is yours.
Thank you very much for the invitation to speak on this international conference on developments of a national law system based on humanist values to welcome the era of 5.0. It's a special honor for me to be here, and I have also made a special presentation. A special presentation because one of the coming weeks a book will be published on good governance, or I must say a book will be published on principles of good administration, in which good governance is playing an important role. What the rector this morning said is not only a question of Indonesia. When we speak about the problem of globalization, when we speak about the problem of digitalization, when we speak about the problem of individualization, we see a big problem in societies, in Indonesia, but also elsewhere in the world. And that problem is a growing distance between the government and the citizens. It's not only automatically accepted what the government is saying, there is a growing distance between the government and the citizens. But also inside the government, there is a growing distance between central level and decentralized level. And the question is, how should we make a bridge between the government and the citizens in a humanitarian way and based on legal values? That is the challenge of my speech this morning. Probably you will translate it in Bahasa.
Well, Prof just explain, telah menjelaskan kepada kita bahwa apa yang akan disampaikan pada pagi hari ini itu akan melihat bagaimana sistem hukum akan terpengaruh dengan era globalisasi dan era digitalisasi yang kemudian telah menimbulkan jarak antara pemerintah dengan rakyat. Dan di situ ada nilai-nilai yang akan berkembang dan itulah nanti yang akan dijelaskan oleh Prof. Edding. Yes.
Having said that problem of globalization, having said that problem of digitalization, having said the problem of individualization, we have to look what is the answer in the field of law on these problems. And I will speak with you about some topics which are on the slide. You will receive them later, but I will say something about a fundamental legal perspective, a legal development, and that fundamental aspect is from proper government to good government. I wrote in 1999, so in the 20th century, the book on beginselen van behoorlijk bestuur, principles of proper governance. I was in 2019, I was visiting professor in Oxford. And during my time in Oxford, I wrote the book on principles of good governance. And the question now is, how is this book, properness, related to good governance? That I will speak with you about it.
Iya, jadi Prof telah menjelaskan bahwa ada hal yang fundamental dari perspektif hukum dan mencoba untuk menjelaskan situasi negara yang ada dan bagaimana situasi negara yang baik, dan itu telah terjelaskan, telah ditulis dalam bukunya, buku yang telah dipublikasi, dipresentasikan di kampus Oxford. Yes.
In every modern state, like Indonesia, we have three concepts, and I have them down there on the slide. The first concept is the concept of the rule of law. You know, it means legality, it means independent judiciary, it means protection of human rights. That is a concept which is in your constitution, in our constitution. The second point is democracy. Democracy means that the citizens have the right to elect their representatives in parliament. You can say it's a kind of indirect democracy. And finally, and that is totally new, there is the line of good governance. Norms for the government in which you have to make a difference between the government and the administration.
Iya, di setiap negara modern bahwa ada tiga konsep yang akan disampaikan oleh beliau. Yang pertama adalah the rule of law yang berkaitan dengan legality and human right, hak asasi manusia. Dan poin yang kedua juga akan dibahas soal demokrasi yang berkaitan dengan citizen, terus yang berkaitan dengan pemilihan langsung dan pemilihan tidak langsung. Dan yang poin ketiga, konsep ketiga tentang pemerintahan yang baik atau good governance. Please.
In that new book, which I just said, which will publish in one of the coming weeks, there are three parts. One part is about the theory of law norms. The second part is about proper administration, principles of proper administration. And the third part is principles of good administration, principles of good governance. That are the three elements of the book.
Iya, ada tiga part. Yang pertama itu adalah teori hukum, lalu yang kedua itu prinsip administrasi, lalu yang kedua tadi, yang ketiga adalah prinsip good governance. Yes.
It means that it is not only theory. When I speak about the rule of law, when I speak about democracy, when I speak about good governance, because in the constitution is written down in the Netherlands constitution, and that is a new article which has just been published 2 months ago. It's written down, the constitution protects the concepts of the rule of law, democracy, and fundamental rights as part of good governance. So it's not only theory, it's written down in the constitution.
Iya, bukan hanya di teori, tetapi di konstitusi Netherlands juga telah ditulis dan di beberapa artikel, dan lalu kemudian diproteksi hak asasi manusia dan pemerintahan.
So having said that, I go to the first part, the theory. As you know, in your state, there are 4 powers. The legislative power, the executive power, the judicial power, and the 4th power. And what has happened? There has happened a kind of shift of the function of the powers because, and now it's what I'm saying very important, what has happened is that where in the past, in the law itself, were written down the norms, but there has been a shift in regulations. Nowadays, the executive power is making the legislation. So, what in the past was the parliament who was involved in the legislation, nowadays it's done by the administration without the parliament. So the administration is becoming more and more important and mighty. But they have lost the contact with the people.
Iya. Jadi ada 4 teori kekuasaan yang tadi disampaikan, bahwa ada kekuasaan eksekutif, kekuasaan legislatif, kekuasaan yudikatif, dan kekuasaan independen. Lalu sekarang eksekutif itu telah mempunyai fungsi membuat regulasi atau making legislation. Lalu kemudian di bagian administrasi juga telah melahirkan regulasi tanpa peran parlemen atau DPR.
So what I have said is the legislation is coming from the administration and not from the legislator. The new legislation is from the executive power without involvement of the people. And how did they deal with it? They deal with it from a perspective of properness. In the principles of properness, these principles are worked out in almost all of the countries by the court. Okay. Yes.
Okay, because we just have 15 minutes.
I have to stop?
No, we just have around 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yes. Without translation.
Okay, I have more time.
Yes.
Okay. So what we see, because of these regulations from the government, the judiciary has developed principles of proper administration. That is the classical way how it is worked out in Indonesia by your administrative court. It's worked out in your General Administrative Law Act. So you have these norms in your law. But nowadays, these principles were developed without involvement of the people.
No, without translation. They're so they understand.
Should I stop?
No, just go on
Okay.
until 10 minutes later.
Okay. I understand that I have to speak in English continue.
Yes.
Okay. So these principles are worked out, and I have mentioned here these principles. These principles of proper administrations are the classical norms of the legal system as they were, you can say, in the 20th century, like prohibition of détournement de pouvoir, like legal certainty, like proportionality, like due care. These are the classical principles. So developed by the court and in a situation in which the people are not involved in the legislation. But nowadays, that is because of the growing distance, because of the problem of the digitalization, because of the problem of the globalization, things has to be changed. Things has to be changed, and you see in different countries all over the world, on international level, but also on national level, there is a new line of thinking. It is the line of thinking on good governance, good administration, good governance. The idea is that there is a broader scope. We should not only look from a classical way, from perspective of properness. No, we also should look from a broader perspective that is accepted in Europe, that has been accepted in different in Asia, is different accepted in America. So that's a new tendency. And what are these principles? That are the 6 principles which I've written down here. Propriety, principle of transparency, principle of participation, principle of effectiveness, principle of accountability, and principle of human rights. These 6 principles are the new principles in the 21st century nowadays, which are the bridge between the government and the citizens. I will explain you why. Because where propriety is in a sense already a broader properness, but when we speak about the principle of transparency, it's important that the government is open in their information. The government should publish their information. The government should be open in relation to their meetings. So transparency in most of the countries are worked out in an information act. I think also Indonesia has an information act. But the most important is the government should be transparent. That is what is needed from a democratic perspective. From a democratic perspective. Not only in the Netherlands, but also in Indonesia. That's one. Another new principle is the principle of participation. What I told you was that there is a gap, a growing distance between the government and the people. Why? Because the people are no longer involved in the policy development. So what has to be done? The government has to bring the people together and to involve them in the policy development. That is the principle of participation. But that's not enough, because also the government has to be effective in their policy. They should be effective. It means that the regulations are in practice also working. This government is accountable. Is accountable what they are doing in a modern society. And finally, also the government has to take care that these principles of good governance, that these principles of good administration are enforced, are worked out in practice. So my answer, and not only my answer, but the answer of a modern state for the 21st century on the question which is in this conference central, because what are these new human values? These new human legal values are these principles of good governance. They are the answer for the problems of the 21st century. Here in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Germany, in United Kingdom, all over the world, you find them worked out. So the conclusion is,
Yes.
and the conclusion is on the next slide.
The last slide. Yes, conclusion.
Yeah, okay. This is the conclusion of my presentation. I ask your attention because what I'm saying now is very important for the discussion. In a modern state, there are 3 essential concepts. Now, the rule of law, democracy, and good governance. And each concept has been developed from constitutional and administrative law perspective. They are also direct binding. They are binding. And they are binding for the government, not only the administration, but also the other parts of the government, like the legislature, the judiciary, and the forced power. So no more these classical principles of properness that is too narrow. You can say the properness principles are the answer of the 20th century, But the principles of good governance are the answer on the question, on the issue of this conference in the 21st century. Principle of propriety, principle of transparency, principle of participation, principle of effectiveness, principle of accountability, and principle of human rights. So I hope that when you are driving home, or walking home, driving by car or driving by bicycle, please remember, I will ask you, what are these 6 principles? Propriety, participation, transparency, effectiveness, accountability, and human rights. These are the 6 answers of the problems of this globalization, digitalization, and individualization. That is the answer, not only for me, but this is the modern answer also from the Indonesian society, I would think. I am very interested in your question. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Good. Give applause. Thanks, Prof, for time. The next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, in our Zoom meeting has already come. Our speaker, Henning Glaser, from Director of PC Germany. How are you, Prof?
Very good. Thank you very much.
Yes. Time is your, Prof, to deliver the material.
Thank you.
I give time for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Assalamu alaikum, first of all. I'm very pleased to be here, to have the opportunity to talk in this very interesting meeting. And when I saw the description of this conference, I found it very interesting. I think you are really touching here on one of the most important issues of our time. And that is, as far as I understand it, the clash of different value systems, and you link that very much to globalization. So I would like to talk about what I see as a background of the paradigm of this clash, and I would like to give you some ideas on that. I would say, first of all, to talk about a revolutionary era 5.0 is absolutely justified. So we are looking really at a profound shift, a profound transformation of global order. And the problem you are addressing here is a problem that is not a problem for Indonesia or for European country. It is a problem of basically every country in the world. And I would title my short presentation as Revolutionary Era 5.0, a derailed globalization, a shifting global order, and increasingly hated and heated value debates. So heated, not hated, heated value debates. Let me unfold this in some points. First of all, I would claim that globalization, and I think this is very important, is experiencing 2 major blows right now. So globalization is not anymore what it used to be 2, 3 years ago. 2, 3, 4 years ago, globalization was a very powerful fact that started, however, already to crumble to a certain degree in its impact. Today, in the year 2022, we have at least 2 very, very strong factors that are derailing globalization, that are changing the face of globalization and the dynamics of globalization. And this is, first of all, the COVID-19 pandemic. And secondly, it is the great power competition that is at least at the cusp of a Cold War, a new form of Cold War. And these 2 are giving really a blow to globalization. They don't end globalization, but they transform globalization very much. Let me point that out a little bit in detail. So why is COVID-19, why is a pandemic a blow to globalization? Quite obviously, in the wake of the pandemic, we still have a disruption of global supply chains. That is one of the clear and very, I think, also persisting consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. And when we look at great power competition, we are looking at the great power competition between the United States, basically, and China. But the United States are reinforced by Western European countries, Australia, some other countries, Japan, and China is in a very strong alliance with Russia. If you want to call it an alliance or not, it's de facto, it is even better than an alliance, as the Chinese and Russian leaders called it. So this is the situation, and in this great power competition, we could see already in the administration of Donald Trump that the US-Chinese trade war was changing the face of globalization. Because what started then was a kind of decoupling of the economic and financial and supply orders. So that started already some years ago, but today with the Russian invasion in Ukraine, we have that reaching another degree, and moreover, it is not anymore control driven by the West. It is now very much something where Russia shows its control over energy supply. So we have this disentanglement. And that is very, very much also a blow to globalization itself. So globalization is changing its face. And what we will have to expect are more disruption in supply chains. We will have to expect that the energy crisis we are witnessing right now will continue. We will expect scarcity in commodity supply, and we will have to expect increasing food insecurity. All that has consequences for globalization, but also for global and domestic orders and for the value systems of these orders. That brings me to the second point, the state of global order today, 2022. So globalization is not global order. Globalization is a form of global communication, global connection. And with that global connection came value claims, came ideas how to order it. So let us now look at the global order. When we look today at global order, we witness a weakening global order, a waning global order. So global order is getting fluid, it's getting feverish, it's getting unpredictable. We have a lot of conflict spots all around the world. So we have not only that one defining war, which is a war in Ukraine, we have quite a number of potentially violent conflicts across the Eurasian landmass. Maybe even in Europe, maybe we have right now, for example, serious conflict between Turkey and Greece. We have serious conflict in former Yugoslavia and so on. So this global order is weakening in a time in which the global order is experiencing challenges as we never witnessed them before. So we have right now global challenges that are also having consequences for our understanding of the fundamental values on which we want to base our domestic societies and our international order. This weakening comes, to be concrete, in a time where we have the risk of great power competition or great power rivalry even turning to great power war. We have the risk of the use of WMD, in particular the risk of a nuclear war. We have a climate catastrophe and the breakdown of our ecosystem, our biosphere, which is looming. It's a possibility that we will end an ecosystem in which humans can survive. We have also a catastrophic possibility of accelerating developments in the area of artificial intelligence towards superintelligence that could also end humanity. And we also have become aware of the possibility of a more infectious and more lethal pandemic in the future. So what I want to say is, while globalization is slowing down and while globalization is changing its face, we have a global order that is facing strong weakening, almost a breakdown if you want, and that comes in a time in which humanity is facing at potentially existential risks. So this is the background. Now let me talk about the matter of values against that background. Against that background, I would claim that we are living in times in which all around the world, mostly, we have confusion over values, we have polarization over values, over core values, over the values creating the identity of our systems. And that is something we have on the domestic level, basically in all parts of the world, and we have that on the international level. So what we see is kind of split both on the domestic and international level between the values attributed or right or wrong globalization. This description here, we have some values named: democracy, rights, rule of law, but also gender equality, maybe also a certain notion of this debate on gender equality. And on the other hand, we have nationalism and traditional values, not only in non-Western countries, but also in Western countries, becoming more and more supported by groups of the society that is in polarization with the other. So this is a situation we can observe, and I recently saw a very interesting claim by a thinker who said that the war in Ukraine, the war between Russia and Ukraine, is not only a war between two states, it's a global civil war. It's a global civil war between different conceptions of core values on which we want to base our societies, on which we want to base our domestic and international law. And I think this is very important to appreciate, that we are living in a time in which geopolitics have become so important that geopolitics and constitutional order are intertwined more than before. So what today is a constitutional question, is a question about our constitutional identity, is very much defined by geopolitical alignments, by the force of geopolitical arguments. And this is a situation in which I would say we should maybe take a step back and look at what these values actually are. And I don't want to say what's right or wrong, because I think what is more important is that we have a clear analysis of the situation, because the situation is really grave. It's not only about the peace in our own society. It's really about to decide what is the right order for the international community or the domestic community in an extremely challenging time, to repeat that, in a time where we are facing potentially existential risks, risks of survival for humanity. So now, what are these values about? So I would claim, first of all, value orders are never fixed or clear-cut. They are developed, they are changing. We cannot simply say Western values, traditional values, whatever. That is a bit too simple. If you look at Western values, I would say you have at least 3 sets of values that are somehow reflecting what right now in the West is dominating. So we have 3 different sets of values, and they contradict each other in parts. That has to be simply acknowledged. First of all, we have Western constitutional core values. So the Western constitutional core values are what Professor Adding very clearly pointed out, and I will just briefly point on them: democracy, rule of law, human rights, human dignity. These are the constitutional core values that are by law prescribed for every member state of the European Union. So we have to have these core values. That's one thing. But we also have, and that is very often linked to globalization, the set of neoliberal values. Neoliberal values are not constitutional values, but they're very powerful, and they're very powerful due to globalization, and in parts they contradict the traditional constitutional values. Some examples: neoliberal values will, to a certain degree, not be in full compliance with our demand for equality. They will, to a certain degree, not, in my point of view, not be in full compliance with democratic accountability and they will to a certain degree not be in full compliance with our rule of law standard when we talk about the jurisdiction in the framework of free trade agreements. So there are contradictions between neoliberal values and constitutional Western values. And then we have a third set of values that is maybe very briefly to be described as wokeness. We have new values, these new ideas, how to understand human rights, especially in the context of minority protection, where we try to change a little bit our traditional understanding of human rights and turn it into a new kind of discourse.
Excuse me, Prof. 3 minutes later. Yes.
Okay, that's more than I expected. I thought only one more. Okay, so we have these three different set of values. And the same, I think, is true also for traditional societies, if you want to call them like that. Societies in which you have strong traditional commitments to values, they are also not the same. I can remember my grandfather lived in Indonesia for many, many years, and when he came back, and when I was a little boy, he told me about his experiences in Indonesia with very different values. He lived in Bandung, and he experienced people with very different Islamic identities in Indonesia back then, decades ago. So value sets are complicated. I just want to point at that. And the point for me now, and there I would like to echo a little bit what Professor Arding has said. If you have this kind of divergence, if you have this kind of even polarization, the answer probably to all that is basically, for me, the rule of law is a democratic discourse where we have the freedom to debate, where we have the freedom to exchange opinions, and that is highly important in times in which we need that kind of integration. We definitely need a procedure to integrate value debates, but we will not escape the fact that we need some identity, that we need some core values on which we agree. If we do that in times like ours, this is highly dangerous, and I think we are in the situation. I don't want to talk it beautiful. It is what it is. It is worrying, I think, domestically and internationally, and that is all I want to say for now. Thank you very much, and I hope it was somehow useful for you. Terima kasih.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Give applause. Thank you very much, Prof. Well, we are going to the next speakers. Our Professor Shimizu Yuzuru, Nagoya University of Japan. How are you, Prof?
Hi.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning,
I'm fine, but not fine actually. That I have some health condition today, so because of this that I cannot attend the Q&A session today. So maybe if you have any listeners, if you have any question for me, that please tell your question to the organizing committee, and I will try to answer later.
Yes. Prof, I want to deliver that there are several participants, online and offline. So all the participants, before our speaker deliver their material, I want to deliver some information that our Professor Shimizu Yuzuru from Nagoya University, Graduate School, Division of International. His organization, Graduate School of International Development Professor, Applied Social System Institute of Asia Professor, and he has many experience in academic field. Next, Prof, I give 15 minutes to deliver the material. Times is yours, Prof.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. So, and as I already said, that unfortunately I affected by COVID-19 last year, yesterday. So I diagnosed. So, and I still have my condition is not well yet. That's why after this presentation, I will how to say, exit this meeting. So, and if you have any question, please send your question to the organizing committee so that I can answer by email or other way after this conference. Okay, let me start my presentation. Okay. So, Professor Adding discussed about the principles of the good governance in the 21st century. And Henning Granger, he talked about the experience of the globalization, and especially the crisis of the globalization caused by, for example, the Ukraine crisis, etc. in general. So, and now I'd like to discuss about a rather specific issue about women. So that the description of this conference, that it is globalization based on the humanity value to welcome the 21st century or the globalization era. So, and this description mentioned to the matter of the gender equality. And many people believe that the 20th century is the era of women. So in the most of countries, the women obtained their political rights in 20th century. So that especially during and after the First World War. And also that the United Nations adopted the International Convention that against all types of the discrimination against women. So that's why that many people believe that the women will play more and more important role in the society and both economic and the social or political issues. However, after we already have the 20 years after the beginnings of the 21st century, that we wonder that whether the women really played the expected role. So, and I will discuss about this point that from the perspective of the Japanese case. Okay. So, and so please look this graph. This graph is the women's working rate in age classification. So that this means that how many percent of women working, then this percentage divided by their age. So, and in 1985, Japanese government enacted a law on equality in the working place. So this is a very epoch-making legislation. So, and this law tried to, how to say, eliminate the discrimination against the women in the working place, so, and try to enlarge the women's role in the working place. So, and actually, and this law is pushed by the ratification of the CEDAW, the convention eradicating the discrimination against the women in 1985. So, and as you see that this line is women's working rate before the enactment, and this black line is that 30 years after the enactment. So that this figure clearly shows that more and more women continue working in after their marriage. There are, how to say, maybe the universal phenomena of the percentage of the working women. It's that the two, maybe that they can call that the two peaks shape. So there is two peaks of the women's working rate. That the many women how to say, enter to the employment market before they marry, and after they graduate school, and then that after they married, they quit their employment market for their how to say, delivery their children, babies, or to care their children. So, and after they finish the caring the children, the women enter to the employment market again. So that's why there is a two peaks. So in Japan, that before the enactment of law, that many women quit their working place around 20 years old to the 25 years old. And then that maybe around 35 or 40, so they enter to the employment market again. And this shape, how to say, after the enactment of the law, that this shape changes. That first, that more and more women, how to say, marriage age of women more delayed. So that around maybe that the peak of the marriage age of the women become the 25 to 29, and also that less women quit their working place even after the marriage. That's why that even though still there is two peaks, but the peak is not so clear than that of the before enactment. So maybe this figure shows the effect of the law against the law on the equality in the working place enacted in 1985. And it's how to say, this figure shows that this law partially achieves its purpose. However, if we see the detail of the data, maybe we can find other aspects of the women's status in Japan. So that this figure, this figure shows that this is female worker types of the employment of the female workers and the male workers. And the dark bar shows the full-time employment. And the light gray bar shows the part-time employment. So that after the enactment of the law, the number of female workers steadily increased since 1985, so like steadily. However, the number of the female full-time workers remained flat or slightly declined. That means that even though the number of the female workers increasing, however, that most of them, how to say, absorbed into the non-full-time job market. The non-full-time job market, of course, their salary, average salary is much lower than full-time workers market. And their status is much more unstable. So they are more, how to say, weak against the company. So, and especially the, how to say, restructurization of the company, etc. So that their status is more weak. So, and if we compare that the male workers, the majority of the male workers work as full-time worker. And even though that the number of the full-time workers decreasing because of the changing structure of the Japanese job market, however, still the number of the non-full-time male worker is minority. So this shows that how to say difference of the women in the job market, and especially about the women in management positions. So this figure shows the percentage of the women in the management position, such as the chief of the division, chief of the section, or chief of the subsection. So that the chief of the division is the highest, and the chief of the section is the middle, and the chief of the subsection is the lower management position. And as you see that the percentage of the women in management position is increasing, while still far lower than that of men. In every position, the percentage of the women increasing. However, women in the higher management positions, such as the chief of division and the chief of section, that the chief of division represented by this line, and the chief of the section is represented by this line. They are still less than 10%. And so those women in higher management position is far lower than management position in the middle position, lower middle position, such as the chief of the subsection. The chief of subsection is represented by this line. So this shows that how to say, even though that there are more and more women in management position, but their opportunity for the higher, further promotion is still limited, restricted. This is a problem in Japanese job market. And I will change our point to the politics, women in politics. In the recent data, that the most famous number in Japanese politics is 9.7%. It's 106th of 190s. The percentage of the female legislators in Japan is among the lowest in the world, only 9.7%. So that this is the Japanese line. So the percentage of the women member of parliament, female member of parliament in Japan is very low, 9.7%, compared to the other developed countries. And even that all over the world, that Japan is the lowest country in terms of the political participation of the women. So it's 9.7% is 168th of 190 countries, 90 countries. So, and in order to respond this problem and to, how to say that, to encourage or enhance the women's role in the politics, so that the parliament enacted the Act on Gender Equality in the Political Field in 2018. And this law demands parties, political parties, to achieve an even number of male and female candidates as possible, so that it's not the, how to say, law to secure the equal number of the female member of the parliament and male member of the parliament, male member of the parliament, but to demand the political parties to offer the same number of the female candidates and the male candidates as much as possible. So, however, the result is very disappointing. The most parties, that the result shows like this. It's comparing the number of the candidates, female candidates, and the number of the female member of the parliament to successfully pass the election. That it's comparing the 2017 and the 2021. So that as this table shows, that the most parties in the parliament don't show significant progress in gender equality. So in Japan, that the Liberal Democratic Party is a very long time ruling party, but how to say, so candidates, the female candidates of the Liberal Democratic Party is only slightly increasing from the 7.5% to the 9.8%. And actually, that how to say, largest opposition party, that Constitutional Democratic Party, that the father was, that their candidate, the female candidate, declined from 24.4% to the 18.3%. And other candidates, other party also, that how to say, they didn't show that the significant progress. That the only exception is a Communist Party. That in Japan, Communist Party is legal party, not like in Indonesia. So that the Communist Party only shows the significant progress in terms of the number of the female candidates. However, that even the Communist Party, that they has to say the female candidates cannot bear 50% amongst the all candidates. So this is very limited, how to say, role of the women in the politics.
Excuse me, Prof.
Okay.
3 minutes more.
3 minutes, okay.
Yes.
I will try to close that very soon. and women in other professional fields. That I saw that some two recent news reports. First about the how to say women in the medical doctors, and another is the women in military. In 2018, it was uncovered that the 10 medical universities manipulated entrance exam score to disadvantage the female students, so that they want to, how to say, admit more male students than female students. That's why that manipulate their examination scores. And against this problem, the Ministry of Education recommended to the university to correct this situation. And many medical universities agreed to this recommendation. The female pass rate exceeded the male pass rate in 2021, so that in 2018 that the problem is uncovered, so that after that the passing rate of the female candidates that increased very sharply, and finally that it's exceed the female passing rate of the male students, so that it shows how to say manipulated the score of the examination score of the female students. And another case is that women in military. A female officer of the Grand Self-Defense Force accused the sexual harassment within her unit in 2020. As the unit commander did not take appropriate action, she was forced to resign. After prolonged investigation, the commander and other members who initially tried to hide the fact finally admitted the fact of the harassment. The Defense Ministry formally apologized to her on September 2022. The former officer told the press that the sexual harassment is common in the military, so that the top of the self-defense force formally apologized to the former officers in front of the press. So the conclusion that the Japanese constitution provided the gender equality, which was not recognized in the pre-war constitution. The ratification of CEDAW and the enactment of the Act of Equal Opportunity for Women in Working Place in 1985 further promoted the role of women in society. However, if we see the detail, the women's position has been supposed to be inferior to men in various working fields, especially their professional fields that have been supposed as an area of men, such as politics, medical doctors, and the military, even in the 21st century. And the women are treated unfairly in this field. And so in other words, there is a very strong glass ceiling for the women in the specific professional position, professional field. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Give applause. Once, thank you very much for Professor Shimida for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The next speaker, I'll try to call Professor Dr. Muhammad Azam Hussein, WM Malaysia. How are you, Prof?
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Can you hear me very well?
Yes. Thank you, Prof.
I'm far away from Malaysia.
Okay, siap.
Because of the boost of technology. Okay, let me share my screen.
Yes, later on, Prof. Let me read the curriculum vitae first.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
The name is Professor Dr. Muhammad Azam Hussein, academic qualification, PhD, Islamic Banking and Finance, International Islamic University of Malaysia, Magister Sharia, University Malaya Kuala Lumpur, and Bachelor Sharia, University of Malaysia. He has many working experience, and I cannot read all. I just mention one, the current Associate Professor, University Utara Malaysia, Sintok Kedah. And he also has many awards. One of them is Silver Medal Award 2022 national innovation, arbitration revolution. Well, Prof, like other speaker, I give chance for about 15 minutes to present the matter. Times is yours.
Thank you. Can you see my slide?
Yes, on process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about now?
Yes, it's okay.
Can I? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good morning to all of you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Honorable Prof. Dr. H. Gunarto, Honorable Dr. Bambang Sri Bawo, Honorable Prof. Dr. Haji Anis Mashlur Hatun, and Honorable Prof. Dr. Haji Sri Endah Wahyuningsih. My fellow speakers, distinguished Prof. Heng Eding, Prof. Henning Laser, and Prof. Shimada Yuzuro, and Associate Prof. Bambang Sri Bawuno. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the organizers inviting me to present in this 5th International Conference organized by doctoral program Fakultas Hukum Universitas Islam Sultan Agung UNISSULA Indonesia. And thank you very much again for inviting me. And I was given a very big topic to discuss, right? That is the development of a national law system based on humanism values to welcome the revolutionary era 5.0. Oh, this is a very big topic, a very tough discussion, but it's relatively relevant to the current situation. We develop our law, we develop our legal system. What about our humanism values or the human touch incorporate in developing our national law? And now the implementation or the coming of revolutionary era 5.0. We already finished 4.0, and now we are facing revolutionary era 5.0. So it's a very big topic to talk about in 15 minutes, and I hope that I can finish it. As mentioned by our chairperson, based on my background, I'm from the Islamic law studies and the Sharia, and then master's in Sharia, and finally in the PhD in Islamic banking and finance. So I hope that because of this topic is very big, I will bring you to focus on only one area. There is the Islamic banking and financial law, the development of law to govern Islamic banking and financial activities or financial business. So I hope that after that, you will develop it to your area, inshallah. So ladies and gentlemen, let me show you the development of banking system. As we know, it's not a new thing, right? The banking system is not a new thing since a long time ago, right? Since a long time ago, for example, I share with you what do you call it, a picture or photo on 1994, right? So to show you the revolutionary process, the beginning of our banking system in the world, then followed by this, you can see how the revolution or evolution of the banking system throughout the world. And I believe that in Indonesia also, you also face the same phase of a revolution in the banking system. But then you can see from the old system, now the introduction of the computer, as you can see, the counter, the bank is the bank counter. Then you can see the officer there then entertain two of his customers, right? And you can see the incorporated of technology already there. You can see the computer there, right? And then the service counter. If we go to the any banking institution, then you can see now there is no more the old system, but we come out with the new system. The new technology has embedded in our banking system. Take example on the banking system, right? And then we go to the counter and we do a transaction business. The bank will give us, for example, a bank account. So the revolution is there, right? And then we move to the ATM machine. And the ATM machine using for us to withdraw, make it easy. I believe that in UNISSULA, for example, you also have your own ATM machine to provide the service to the to the student, to the staff in the campus, easier for them to withdraw the money, right? And then the credit card, a debit card, another revolution, okay? Because of the growth of the technology, we come out with the debit card, we come out with the credit card, and then you are no need to bring the cash money. You can use your debit cards. Then nowadays, we are at that situation or that scenario. You can see, you just bring a card, then you can do any transaction, you can buy whatever you want to buy, right? Then the online banking, again, the using of technology. We use a computer, we use our handphone to do a transaction, right? So this is the evolution based on the evolution of the technology, right? The technology, and then from there, you can see the online transaction for the student. For example, you want to pay your study fees, and then you can use, transfer it, do an online transaction. And especially during the COVID-19, we're facing since 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, then you can see how the technology dominant at that time. The domination of technology at that time, we use it to conduct a class, we use it to do a meeting, a virtual meeting. And today also, you are in UNISSULA in Semarang, and I'm in UUM, far away from you, and also Prof. Shimada from Japan, and also Prof. Heding Glazer from Germany, only Prof. Heng Edin next to the chairperson, right? So the question is, technology is technology. This I put one quote from Alfonso Cuarón. Technology said that technology is technology. Technology doesn't have it is not good or bad, right? Technologies are tool. We cannot deny it. Technologies is a tool, and then to consider it good or bad, it depends on the users, right? So it depends on the users. But technologies are tool, right? Technologies are tool. We cannot deny it. We cannot run away from the technology, right? We cannot run away from the technology. And because of the technology, you can see is one of the scenario. Okay, I share with you the pickpocket. Previously, yeah, this is the pickpocket activities, right? Physically pickpocket. And then another issue, we move to the hackers device wireless method for stealing ATM users' PIN. Because of what? The development of the technology, right? The people is the criminal. Yeah, they want to steal the money, but not from the physical. They just go to the ATM machine, and then in 2014, reported by this, is you can see the news in reported in 2014, right? 2014, a few years ago, hackers hijacked, stolen from the ATM machine. And nowadays, this is the latest one, the issues on Macau scam. This is reported in Malaysia, latest one reported in Malaysia a few months ago about the Macau scam. Okay, by using of what? The using of technology. they use for the criminal activities. See, so this is the thing. We can't deny the technology, but we have to face the technology. And then how we want to deal with the technology. For example, Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad in Malaysia, they used to advertise, they used to, what do you call it, campaign, the awareness campaign to the customer to make sure that to avoid the scammer activities, right? So this is from the banking institution again because of the technology. But the question is why? Why it happened, right? We bring the technology to our daily life. We bring the technology to our daily work. But how we can control it? How we can control it? Do we need to avoid it, right? Do we need to stop it? No. The answer is no, because the technology, every day it will evolve, right? Will evolve from time to time. Then you can see processing again the new technology, the early days, no will hear, no new technologies, no, right? Because we don't want, we consider the technology might harm our daily life. But the technology will keep growing from time to time, right? Ladies and gentlemen, the Dalai Lama, what he said, without technology, humanity has no future. But we have to be careful that we don't become so mechanized that we lose our human feeling. So the human factor in the technology, is it exist or not? Right? Is it exist or not? So without technology, humanity has no future. This quote from Dalai Lama. So what can we do is we need to handle with care. By using the technology, we cannot avoid it. We cannot run away from using the technology, the latest one. Then we have to handle with care. So ladies and gentlemen, now revolutionary era 5.0. So this is the picture of one of the place where convocation the convocation ceremony for UUM accredited student. Okay? Just to share with you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, the Industrial Revolution and the Society 5.0, we're talking about the personality, the independence of man and machine using cognitive computing and human intelligence mass customization and personalization for human. We already finished the 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, the digitalization era, now the personalization. Okay? 4.0, the use of cyber physical system on connected device to automate processes further. But my question is, the current people, right? The nowadays people, are they aware about this? Right? All the people, all of our people in the entire countries in the world, are they aware about this? Or they are still at the level of 1.0, 2.0, or 3.0, or 4.0. But now we are heading 5.0, right? The technology. And then my question is, to what extent the 5.0, revolution of 5.0, we have to incorporate it in to deal with 5.0 based on our national law. The development of law in banking system, for example, because my area is Islamic banking and financial law in Malaysia, we have to change the law. We have to change the existing law. The first statute in 1983 to govern Islamic banking and financial institution, and then in 2013, we come out with the new law, namely Islamic Financial Services Act 2013. After 30 years, because to incorporate all the elements of the technology element. Then, because of that, we have no problem, right? We have no problem. We can conduct either it's a conventional banking system or Islamic banking system, then the using of the technology in Islamic banking business. To what extent, my question is, to what extent we consider humanism values in legal development? right? So that should be, we should ask ourselves, we are a legal person, and then we should ask ourselves to what extent we consider humanism value in legal development. Do we consider about the race and cultures, right? Do we consider about the race and cultures? In Malaysia, yes, we have a multiracial country and the multiracial cultures, and then do we consider about it? Then do we consider about the religion? This is everything related to the humanism values, right? The religion, not talking about the technology. If you focus on technology, yes, you will entertain the technology, we will come out with the law, but what about the human touch? Right? What about the
Excuse me, Prof.
Yeah. Yes.
You have time 3 minutes more.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Right? And then about the religion, about the computer illiterate, do we need to let them lagging behind of us? Right? For those with computer illiterate, we are computer literate, and then we will keep moving. But at the same time, we ignore about the computer illiterate. This is the technology. And then what about the household income? Do we consider to develop the law? Do we consider about the categories of household income? Right? In Malaysia, we classified it as B40, M40, and T20. The highest one is T20 with T2. Depend on the income. Then the people in remote area, we have no problem. In the city, we live the life in the city, have no problem. There are so many banking institutions. What about in the remote area? Right? What about in the remote area? Do we care about them? If we use everything, the technology, do we care about the people in remote area? And then the people with disabilities and another humanism values that we should consider when we want to develop the law. And finally, I want you to think about this because of the technology 5.0. We have the school of legal thought. Previously, we have the natural law, positivism, sociological, realism, Islamic law, and others a school of thought. Which school of legal thought that should we consider in the development of a national law system based on humanism values? We emphasize on the humanism values to welcome the revolutionary era 5.0. So I leave it to you to think about which school of legal thought that we should embed it in developing our national law. And in my conclusion, I pose one question because the revolution 5.0 talking about the artificial intelligence, we're talking about the blockchain, we're talking about the Internet of Things and big data, everything. My question, can AI replace human discussion? Because what we need, if totally we use the machine to carry out our task, do they have brain? Do they have the power, the discretionary, the discretion to decide whatever the final decision that they want to make, right? It's like a computer. You provide the system, then the result will out. Then what happens if artificial intelligence replace human? Then what about the discretion? Can AI replace human discretion? This is something that we need to think. We need to make sure that in developing the law of the country, we cannot deny about the culture of the country. We cannot deny about the human touch. We cannot deny, we cannot ignore whatever the humanism value. We have to consider it. Internet, the technology, the growth of the technology, we are not to entertain the technology, but we cannot stop the technology, but we have to make sure there is a exhaustive law to manage the technology. With that, I end my presentation with قال الله تعالى إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تفكرون. Is the meaning from the Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, firman Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, surely Allah enjoins justice, kindness, and the doing of good to kiss and kin, and forbid all that shameful, evil, and oppressive. He exhorts you so that you may be mindful. One again, Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan wa ita'i zil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsya'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'izukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. Sadaqallahul azim. Surah An-Nahl, verse 90. With that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Give applause to our speaker. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the participant of the 5th International Conference and Call of Paper. Next speaker is Prof. Dr. Bambang Tribawono SHMH. We has already know who is he. I just want to read the CV, curriculum vitae, work experience, lecture, and advocate. He has many experience in lesson, and also he has also many publication such as Journal of Southeast Jiateng University, Protection Toward the Society 5.0. Like other speakers, Prof, I give chance for about 50 minutes to presentate the material. Time is yours.
Yes, thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, and Mas Irwansyah.
Ya, Prof.
Okay, before I'm begin, I'm sorry if my English not well because this morning I'm forget to eat bread and cheese. Paham nggak? Jadi saya minta maaf kalau bahasa Inggris saya kurang begitu bagus karena tadi pagi saya belum makan roti dan keju. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I will be combine English language and Indonesian language ya. Jadi saya akan mengkombinasi karena sebetulnya memang I'm not very good in English. Ya. Okay. I will presentation about a presentation building human legal system through activity on glacis. Jadi bahasa Indonesianya itu membangun sistem hukum yang humanis melalui activity on glacis. Activity on glacis itu artinya everything is transparent, segala sesuatunya kelihatan. Like a fish on the aquarium. Jadi kalau kita lihat akuarium, kita bisa lihat ikannya di dalam situ. Ya, ini untuk menjawab kegundahan keresahan kita terkait perjalanan berbangsa dan bernegara. Oke, bos. Ya. Jadi here in Indonesia, law is a system. I use Jordan explanation. The system is a unity, different element of part. They are connected from one part to another. Jadi menurut Jordan, sistem hukum itu adalah kesatuan dari elemen. Bagian yang berbeda yang berhubung satu dengan yang lain. Yang dia bekerja sama secara harmonis menuju satu tujuan tertentu. Goalnya, finishnya itu menjadi satu kesamaan tujuan. Kayak kita berbangsa dan bernegara, we have one final tujuan. Kita punya satu tujuan yang sama. Di mana itu? Di pembukaan Undang-Undang Dasar saya mencoba mengambil teorinya Lawrence Friedman terkait dengan bekerjanya hukum. Jadi, according to Lawrence Friedman, exception the law is determined by one, legal substance, two, legal structure, and three, legal culture. Jadi, keberhasilan hukum itu dipengaruhi oleh substansi hukum, oleh struktur hukum, dan oleh kultur hukum. Saya agak cepat karena waktunya hanya 15 menit. Oh ya, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm from Deso soalnya. Yeah. Okay, the first legal structure, legal substance. Yeah, legal substance is the rule, norm, on pattern of real human behavior that are the system in itself. Yeah. So that the legal substance concern the applicable law and regulation has binding power and become wielding for law enforcement officer. Jadi legal substansi hukum ya adalah aturan norma perilaku nyata manusia yang berada dalam sistem itu. Ini substansi ya. Jadi aturan norma perilaku yang masuk dalam satu regulasi. Ya. Ini harus memiliki kekuatan mengikat, karena kalau undang-undang, peraturan perundang-undangan tidak memiliki kekuatan mengikat itu ya. Kalau advokat itu pasti sudah tahu lah hukum itu dibuat untuk dilanggar kan. Ya. Cuman kalau advokat ya dia sudah tahu cara mengantisipasi terjadinya pelanggaran hukum. Ya. Jadi kalau hukum dilanggar itu dia udah tahu cara mengantisipasinya. Ya, oke ya, clear. Misalnya hate speech ya, menyerang kehormatan seorang atau smart strict gitu. Kalau dalam bahasa Belanda itu smart, menyerang kehormatan seorang. Dia tidak perlu menyebut nama, tapi sebetulnya apa yang dia sampaikan adalah menyerang seseorang. Ya. He have head like a duck katanya. Dia punya kepala seperti bebek, itu menyerang kehormatan seseorang, tapi dia tanpa menyebut nama. Itu pekerjaan advokat. Ya. Jadi kita udah paham itu ya. Dan di sini saya lihat banyak wajah-wajah advokat di sini ya. Plenty of face, advokat face. Oke. Dari data Kementerian Hukum, ya, from data from the Ministry of Law and Human Rights, Agustus 18 2002, kita punya 42.161 peraturan. Gila nggak? Jadi Indonesia itu negara yang penuh dengan peraturan. Sedikit diatur. Kayak teman-teman itu kan sedikit diatur. Ya, harus tepuk tangan padahal nggak mudeng, gitu. Biar rame suasananya kan, ngomong bahasa Inggris nggak mudeng. Oke. Ya. 17.468 itu peraturan dari kementerian, dibuat oleh menteri. 15.982 15.98 X2 ya, itu from local ministry, local regulation, peraturan daerah ya. 4.711 peraturan lembaga pemerintah non kementerian. Jadi non ministerial government agency regulation. And 4.000 ya, 4.000 itu apa bahasa Inggrisnya? 4,000 central government regulation. Peraturan pusat itu 4.000 peraturannya. Ya. This does not include regulation made directly by regional head and regulation made by state-owned enterprise. Ya, jadi ya, ini belum termasuk peraturan perundang-undangan yang dibuat oleh kepala daerah dan pemegang kebijakan di BUMN. We have imagined about banyaknya itu apa? number of regulation in Indonesia. Jadi kita ini pencetak undang-undang dan kita menjadi negara yang berprestasi ketika kita banyak undang-undang. Setuju nggak? Nah, padahal undang-undang dibuat untuk apa tadi, teman-teman advokat ini? Dilanggar. Gila. Oke. Nah, sekarang is legal structure. The legal structure is a judicial system which so that legal institution work to realize legal substance, so that the discussion of legal structure is more oriented to the number of judge, court jurisdiction, police, prosecutor, and advocate. Jadi sebetulnya struktur hukum itu secara inti adalah sistem yudisial yang menunjukkan tentang lembaga-lembaga hukum yang nantinya itu menerjemahkan dari pada keinginan-keinginan hukum. Ya, kalau dalam hukum pidana itu ada criminal justice system. Mulai dari apa? Advokat, polisi, jaksa, apa lagi? Pengadilan, ya, hakim, sampai lembaga pemasyarakatan. Is very long, terlalu panjang mekanismenya dan itu menjadikan berbagai komoditas, nanti kita akan bahas. Ya. Berdasar laporan kepolisian RI, based on the report the Indonesian National Police, number police of personnel in Indonesia is, ini tahun 2021 ya, 434.135 orang. Jadi data yang kita peroleh 2021 itu 434.135%. Ya. Jadi sedikit apa banyak? Sedikit apa banyak? Ayo, ada yang berani jawab, sedikit atau banyak? Menurut kalian sedikit atau banyak? Siapa yang bilang sedikit? Oke. Siapa yang bilang banyak? Oke, satu ya. Nanti kita bahas. Jadi stigma berpikir kita tentang hukum ini must be changed. Ya. Jadi kita berpikir ketika hukum itu eksis, law is exist, ketika if banyak kejahatan yang bisa dituntaskan. Ini problem berpikir kita. Sebetulnya penegakan hukum itu ketika tidak ada kejahatan. Jadi jumlah polisinya harus sedikit sebetulnya. Ya, karena memang secara legal kultur ya, kita ini negara yang katanya negara ketimuran. Orangnya ramah tamah, supel, rajin menabung gitu. Terus suka senyum sama orang lain, tidak sombong ya, murah hati, saling menyapa, cewek, sweet gitu ya katanya. Ya, itu. Oke. The three is legal culture. Ini yang kita bahas, ya. Struktur hukum sudah tadi. Kultur hukum. Legal culture is element of social attitude and value that become people behavior. Ya. Jadi kultur hukum ini merupakan elemen sikap dan nilai sosial ya, yang menjadi perilaku masyarakat. Maka tadi saya katakan kita ini negara yang ramah tamah, suka gotong royong, ya, saling menyapa, tidak sombong, murah hati, saling peduli, care. Tapi angka kejahatan kita tinggi, aneh enggak? Aneh enggak? Kita mau bilang apa? Korupsi kita tinggi, ya. Trafficking tinggi, eksploitasi seks kita termasuk negara tertinggi di dunia. Apalagi narkotik, drug, apalagi segala kerusakan yang ada di dunia ini Indonesia banyak dan masuk 10 besar. Hebat nggak? Padahal kita terkenal negara yang ramah tamah. Di Sisilia itu tempatnya Godfather, mafia itu di Sisilia, Italia. Ya. Di sana terjadi pembunuhan. Sama terjadi kriminalitas tapi antar geng. Mafia sama mafia. Di sini enggak. Ayo. Karena kentut di kendaraan umum terjadi pembunuhan, bacok-bacokan. Melebihi mafia. Padahal kita katanya negara timur. Wes, apa? Rebutan cewek, cemburu, paten-patenan. Supporter sepak bola, mati 128 orang. Gimana? Cara membayangkan negara kita gimana? Oke, ini padahal legal kultur kita, ya, kita terkenal sebagai bangsa yang baik, ya, bangsa yang ramah tamah, yang penuh dengan adat ketimuran. Von Sackvigny believe that culture factor play a very important role in determining the legal style of society. Jadi von Sackvigny meyakini bahwa faktor budaya ini sangat berperan untuk menentukan corak hukum satu masyarakat. Jadi kalau kita bicara tentang sejarah hukum, itu kita bisa ngambil von Sackvigny yang dia bercerita bahwa histori sejarah itu akan mempengaruhi daripada corak hukum satu masyarakat. Dan itu sudah saya pelajari, ternyata nenek moyang kita itu sudah melakukan penjelajahan sampai melakukan peperangan terhadap bangsa barbar dan kita menang. Gajah Mada itu tekan Mongolia kono. Perang di sana dan kita menang. Ini menunjukkan bahwa kita memang barbar sebetulnya. Ya. Tapi ya oke lah, kita memang barbar dan ramah hati gitu ya. Oke. Lah, society in Indonesia as Eastern style society and highly uphold the value of kinship and mutual cooperation. Jadi kita ini merupakan masyarakat yang bercorak ketimuran, menjunjung tinggi kekeluargaan serta gotong royong. Itu yang dikenal oleh bangsa lain, termasuk Prof siapa namanya? Prof Heng Eding. Indonesia is beauty katanya. Ya. Ramah apa bahasa Inggrisnya? Nice, very good. Gitu. Urung ngerti itu nih Semarang Utara, ya, bacok sisan weh. Ya, itu oke. Ya, data yang kita himpun di tahun 2022, in 2022, ya, the number of prisoner is 27x.x49. Jadi jumlah tahanan kita itu 274.849. Itu tahun 2002. Ini yang sudah masuk dinyatakan pemasuk lembaga pemasyarakatan. Yang masih berproses masih ribuan. Makanya kalau teman-teman ke Polda ada satu subdit itu, ya, yang terdiri dari beberapa unit, ya, satu unitnya itu dalam 1 minggu bisa menangani 20 sampai 30 perkara. Halo, ada yang polisi nggak di sini? Ya, benar nggak Mas? Nah, kita bisa bayangin bahwa negara kita memproduksi kejahatan sedemikian rupa. Ya, oke. Itulah yang menjadikan bahwa Indonesia is chaos. Ya. Why we came chaos country? Mengapa kita bisa menjadi negara yang chaos loh? Ayo, pernah nggak mikir teman-teman? Ini kan sudah S3 nih. Berpikir secara filosofi, ternyata struktur, kultur, dan substansinya wis rusak Indonesia, kan? Ya, oke. Mau ngasih sanksi yang luar biasa. Tindak pidana korupsi itu di dalam pasal 3 atau pasal 4, lupa saya. Undang-Undang Nomor 31 tahun 99, serta revisinya Undang-Undang Nomor 20 tahun 2001 itu mengenakan tindak pidana berupa pemidanaan mati. Tapi pernah nggak ada? Ayo, apanya coba? Makanya menurut Taverni, berikan saya ya aparatur penegak hukum yang baik, maka dengan hukum yang seadanya saya akan menghasilkan satu putusan yang baik. Kembali kita pada pembicaraan awal, ya. Struktur itu sangat berpengaruh karena dia menjelmakan keinginan-keinginan hukum. Problemnya ada banyak rambu di kepolisian. Rambu loh, saya nggak nyebut nama seorang, saya nyebut rambu. Oke. Clear ya? Because disrupt, ya, public disrupt to the law. Jadi keadaan yang chaos ini ya membuat orang itu tidak percaya lagi terhadap hukum. Maka sering ada itu namanya apa namanya? Katanya dia hilang kambing kan, laporan malah dia jadi hilang kerbau katanya. Hilang sapi. Ya. Maka sering ada agen rating, tahu agen rating? Main hakim sendiri. Ya. Masyarakat kita alah suwen kurang anu pateni rak wis kan gitu. Ya, main hakim sendiri. Jadi hasil survei Saiful Mujani Research and Counseling, ya. Saiful Mujani Research and Counseling survey result so that 41.2%, 41,2% kondisi penegakan hukum sekarang buruk dan sangat buruk. Ini hasil survei loh ya. Jadi bukan hasil survei saya, ini hasil survei satu kajian survei.
3 menit lagi, Prof.
3
menit lagi.
3 menit,
Iya,
belum selesai. Oke. Lah ketidakpercayaan, ya, distrust of law result in the public not wanting to participate in effort to monitor and develop national law, ya. Ketidakpercayaan terhadap hukum mengakibatkan masyarakat ini tidak mau turut serta dalam upaya pengawasan dan pembangunan hukum nasional. Sehingga hukum itu menjadi malfunction. Ya. Law is be malfunction. Dia nggak peduli lagi turut serta. Alah yang penting ada cuan, bos, selesai. Wis. Nggak berpikir yang idealis. Itu problem. Ya. Jadi kita ini, ya, substansi hukumnya terlalu banyak, ya, sehingga menimbulkan tumpang tindih antara satu peraturan dengan peraturan lain. Struktur hukumnya masih juga law enforcement-nya not full enforcement, ya. Hukum yang dimiliki masyarakat berorientasi pada materialisme dan gaya hidup yang hedonis. Itu masyarakat kita. Ya, ini saya cepatkan aja. Problem substansi, ya, tumpang tindih substansi hukum di Indonesia itu menurut Prof. Maria Farida Indrati, ya, ini banyaknya peraturan perundang-undangan mengakibatkan tumpang tindih peraturan sehingga menimbulkan ketidakpastian hukum. Makanya kalau kita bicara teori kepastian hukum punyanya Jason and Wigan itu, hukum itu law is mas lex pravea, lex stricta, lex scripta, ya, lex serta. Hukum itu harus strict, nggak boleh banyak analogi. Hukum itu tidak harus diundangkan, hukum itu harus tertulis, ya. Itu menjadi bagian-bagian dari satu konstruksi teori kepastian hukum. Lah banyaknya hukum yang menggambarkan hukum apa peristiwa-peristiwa tertentu itu menimbulkan tumpang tindih. Ya. Ini menurut Prof. Maria Farida Indrati. Ya. Saya cepatkan lagi. Ya. Saya berikan contoh ini peraturan perundang-undangan yang tumpang tindih. Pasal 35 Undang-Undang Nomor 5 Tahun 1960 tentang pokok-pokok agraria. Ya, HGB itu 30 tahun. Tapi kalau kita lihat pasal 22 huruf B Undang-Undang Nomor 25 Tahun 2007 tentang penanaman modal, HGB bisa 80 tahun. Lalu gimana kepastian hukumnya? Ya. Contoh. Nah, oke. Abuse of power pada struktur hukum di Indonesia. Karena hukum itu jadi komoditas, menjadi produksi dari satu negara, ya, maka PR hukum, homework and law enforcement is too much, terlalu banyak, sehingga di situ menjadi komoditas, Nah, tinggal aparatur penegak hukumnya milih. Mau cepat atau lambat. Mau tahan atau tidak. Ya. SP3 terus. Pasal ringan, pasal ngeyel. Ya. Wani biro. Itu karena jumlah produksi tindak pidana di negara kita itu tinggi. Maka di situ akan terjadi abuse of power, terjadi korupsi. Korupsi itu ada dua bentuk. Yang pertama, corruption against the law. Corruption yang betul-betul melawan hukum. Suap menyuap, gratifikasi, kejahatan dalam jabatan, ya, pemerasan dalam kejahatan termasuk dalamnya, ya, curang, bedrog, atau corruption administrative corruption, korupsi sing alus gak ketok. Si A si B berseteru masalah hukum, hakimnya sudah tahu nanti hasil menangnya si B, sudah diatur. Wani piro bos, ya itu masalahnya. Oke, di Indonesia tahun 2021 ada ya pelanggaran kode etik pidana anggota Polri ini 2.621 kasus untuk disiplin, kode etik 1.305, pidana 1.013. Ini anggota kepolisian yang melakukan tindak pidana di tahun 2021.
Waktu Prof bisa di...
Oke, 2 menit ya. Paradigma kultur, ya, the materialism paradigm in Indonesian legal culture. Jadi kultur kita sudah berubah karena kondisi yang ya, carut marut, maka kondisi kita berubah. Termasuk kepolisian juga mengeluarkan surat telegram nomor 30 tahun 2019 dari Dipropam, ya, kode etik polisi terkait bahwa polisi dilarang menggunakan barang-barang mewah branded. Ya. Tapi nyatanya ada polisi punya Lexus harga 1,35 miliar, Lexus RX 1,5 miliar, Lexus LM 2,9 miliar sampai 3,5 miliar, Land Cruiser 2,2 sampai 2,3 miliar. Ya, pinjam betul. Ya, betul. Termasuk jet pesawat terbang kemarin juga.
Ya, Prof.
Oke, terus bagaimana cara menjawab daripada keresahan kita? Ya. Yang pertama, due process of law, jelas. Yang kedua, restorative justice, ya. Yang ketiga, kita menggunakan activity on glacis. Ya. Oke. RJ, yaitu untuk menutup RJ uangnya berapa, itu kita pakai activity on glacis. Ya. Jadi semua itu nanti kelihatan. Ya. Nanti tidak hanya laporan harta kekayaan di awal dan di akhir tahun jabatan. Di tiap bulannya itu aparatur penegak hukum ada laporan keuangan, termasuk advokat. Karena di negara lain, advokat itu sebagai firma yang nantinya digunakan untuk money laundry. Itu bahaya loh. Oke, saya kira itu ya dari saya ya. Singkat, padat, merayap.
Oplos, tepuk tangan dulu buat Prof.
Thank you. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sepertinya presentasi yang paling banyak dipahami dan menyinggung presentasinya Prof kayaknya. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we are going to the question and answer session, let me check to our speakers who join on the Zoom. Excuse me, Prof. Haning is on Zoom meeting.
Prof. Haning is
Yeah, I'm
taking.
still here.
Oh yeah.
Is leaving.
No,
Oh
I'm here.
yes. Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Sorry.
Yes. Prof. Shimida Yuzuru is left. Okay. And Professor Azam is still okay. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are two aspects of the question, and the first session I will give time to the participants who join offline here, and I need for about 2 persons to ask the speaker. Yes. Woman side, is there question? Okay. Mas Alfian and the glasses one. Yes. Three question. Okay. 3 questions. Questioner. Okay. Time is yours. Direct. Ya. Yeah. Siapa mau pertama? Iya. 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 Yang Mas Alfian.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mas Alfian ya. Ya, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, biasa aja Mas. I want to introduce myself, my professor. My name is Rais Firdaus Handoko. I'm from member of doctoral student in UNISSULA. I'm very interesting in this topic, especially Prof. Heng, because Prof speak about constitutional law. It's like my specialty in master program. Yeah. The first, I'm sorry if my English is not well, like Mr. Associate Professor Bambang Tribawono. Yeah, because English is not my mother language, Prof, but I will try hard to speak. I'm interesting about your speaking about apa namanya itu independent institution in Netherlands. There is 4 politica, not trias politica, 4 politica, executive, legislative, judicative, and independent institution. Because in Indonesian, the political party is very control. There is power to control the system, Professor. Yeah, because in Indonesian, if not include the political party, we cannot elect ourselves to become president. So there is so big money politic. So if he or she elect become the leader, yeah, not only president, legislation DPR in Indonesian, and many until the leader of village, kepala desa, has money politic, like that, Professor. So how the Netherlands can create the independent institution against trias politica and against political party, Professor? Yeah, so it's not easy. So if this happen in Indonesian, maybe the money politic in Indonesian will less or hilang, yeah, will finish. And then the second, yeah, I'm sorry, Prof, for Prof Henning Glazer and sebenarnya juga Yuzuru, but it's same about international law, Professor. Because I'm from constitutional law specialty, I see the international law is like politics is not law, because from the constitutional law the important is imperative for me, but in international law there is an imperative because it's always lost against sovereignty. In my opinion, is international law always lost with the sovereignty and jurisdiction. So it is necessary if the like Interpol is include in the same level with the nation, PMI, Vatican, and many more, and how the importance of international law can include the nation if the legislation not ratification. It's not easy, but I sometimes support the international law like ILO, but ternyata in Indonesian, in fact, ILO in Indonesian not ratification, yeah, like this, but that is in example, but there isn't the other like Statuta Roma and many more. The question like that, how the international level, international law can compete with the national law, yeah, because there is an sovereignty, and the first is from for Prof. Heng Eding. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Next.
Very cool one. So thank you for the occasion. My old mate, student here. Good almost afternoon, sir, to all of you, Professor Eding, Professor Glaser, and Professor Azam. So here, first, we are really appreciate for your presence here, sir, and also deliver your message to us about how to develop the administrative law here and how to develop the value of national law, introducing the good value of good governance. So related with this title of seminar, even we need to be corrected a little bit. The 5.0 era is not the revolution era, it's a society era. So trying to even before that 4.0 is industrial era, then now is going forward to society era 5.0. The distinct between industrial era 4.0 to the society era 5.0 is the difference between the using of technology. Because in the 4.0, the artificial intelligence that ruling all the condition of technology. But in 5.0, we hope that human, as the creator of the technology and system, should be the ruler of this technology. So starting from what tried to introduce by Professor Eding, then goes to Professor Glaser, and the last conclusion from Professor Azam that the quote is handle with care about how we use the technology. So my question to all of you, the all of you, what is and what actually the real in life, how we can use and how the value system that being in universally adapt. So what actually in the real life, the activity, all the system that all of you try to propose to the universal society, that everyone, every nation, every country can be adapt. Because we know the difference between countries, the value that they create, not all of the countries is democratic countries. Mostly still is from the communist countries or whatever kind of the way of life. So all of you, my question is the same one. What actually from all of you, each of you, propose the real in life, the way how to do that you can universally adapt, that we can support this new value system about how to be accountable, how to be effectiveness, and how to be that still now related to the 5.0 humanism, how the men are human being ruled as technology that we develop are. Thank you for the occasion, and please we appreciate for all the welcoming speaker here. Thank you.
Okay, next.
Thank you for the moderators. Prof. Eding, my name is Sulaiman Sembiring. Sulaiman is Solomon in English. Yeah? I would like to start actually my point of view and later question from Dr. Bambang Tribawono presentation. According to the last speaker, it is mentioned that there are around 200,000 prisoners in our prison. And 60% of those people taken to the court start from the police and then state prosecutors are drugs user and drugs sellers. and the drugs actually used below 5 grams. And these people, mostly 85%, are users. According to our topics here, yeah, that we need to develop national law system. System means, of course, not only the norms, but also the application. Yeah, the impose of the law, which is supposed to be humanist. Yeah, supposed to be look into the background of the people who use and who sell the drugs. Most of them are poor people. Most of them are people with no work for the daily lives. So when you mention about 6 aspect of lawmaking, law development, like I wrote here, as you mentioned before, transparency, participation. You see, all of our law just put those principles in our laws. I can guarantee it. In our forestry law, spatial planning law, corruption law, just name it. These principles are on it. But they are so different from the law and on theory, law and the norm, and the application. So what is your suggestion to the application of those norms, yeah, when we are like to welcome the revolutionary era 5.0? Today in Indonesia, you see, we already use e-court. So we already get into and use the era 5.0 actually. But the problem is, in the application, it is so difficult to mention to the police, to the state prosecutors, that don't bring these poor people, because they are also trapped by the system, by the mafia of the drugs users, drugs consumers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I give chance to the speaker, Ms. El Hedin, to answer the question.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you very much for the 3 interesting questions, and also the good and serious questions. But the other speakers had also very interesting stories this morning. Especially, I was surprised by the presentation of colleague Bambang when it was about the cars of the policemen, and that I now know that the Lexus is a very popular car for policemen. I didn't know that, so it's a very good way of teaching and to making clear how enforcement law is working. Thank you very much, colleague, for that. But now the serious questions which were asked. The first question in my presentation, I speak not only about 3 powers, but also about the 4th power. And I'm saying in relation to the 4th power in our country, they are, that is the Court of Audit, that is the Council of State, that is the Ombudsman. How is it possible that there are independent power, the 4th power, and there is not political control? How is that possible? There should be political control. That is your question to me. Now, there is not a political control. They are independent. But there is one issue, I didn't tell you, but I'm telling you it now, in which they are different from the legislator and from the executive. They are only advising institutions. Though they cannot making law, they only can make advice about law. So in that sense, it is understandable that you sometimes need an independent advising body in your system, which is not controlled by the politics. For instance, when we speak about the Court of Audit, it's an advising body in relation to the budget of the government. Such an advising body, you need that because it's about the money, it's too much or too less or whatever. You need such a technical advice on that. Or when I speak about the Council of State, that's an advisor in relation to new legislation. It's a kind of legal advice, legal technical advice. So what I want to say, it's important for the legislator, it's important for the executive, and sometimes also for the judiciary, to have independent fourth power advising institutions. And that is not a problem that they are not political controlled. It's even good that they are not political controlled because it's more technical advice. So that is the reason. The second question was the question about how are we dealing with technology? Technology, as one of the speakers said, technology is an instrument. When we speak about an instrument, it's not a norm. An instrument is a fact. So it's we, you and I, and every human being, we can have a normative idea about facts. And that is the big difference between what norms are, what legal norms are. These are developed not by technicians, these are developed by people who have an idea about values, legal values, cultural values. So the way how to deal is, and that is also my opinion in relation to this digitalization, we have to say something about it from a value, from a legal value perspective. It means, on the point of transparency, that it has to fulfill certain conditions. Or from participation principle, it has to fulfill certain conditions. So by making these norms, we make technology acceptable in a society. When we only would say it's enough to have this technology, I can give you the example. When I arrived last Saturday in the airport in Jakarta, and I want to have my luggage, they said to me, "You are not allowed to come into the country because we want to see on your computer or your telephone that you are allowed to arrive." I had to write down about my luggage to an institution, and then I will get a green accepted sign in my telephone. So I had to show, yeah, I have that green sign from the Indonesian government, so it's okay. So that is real digitalization in which there are no norms. I can say, yeah, I'm an honest person. I had a visa, but that was not enough. I had to do that just by showing you my telephone to the people at customs and then I was allowed to come into the country. But that is an example. That's an example in which technology is used without any value. It's only that is what I. Therefore, I mentioned as an example. Yeah. Then the third question about the more than 200,000 people who are in prison, and how to deal that with all these nice principles. People who have often in the field of drugs nothing. They have no work. They are poor, and you can speak about transparency or participation or effect, all kinds of nice principles, but what are you what have you to say to them? That's a very good and realistic question. I think it's important that the government always gives a good example. The government should be not misuse the power, should be not corrupt. No, the government should should be an example for the people. That's for the president, that's for the ministers, and that is for everybody who has political power. So I would say that is the way how it's working, these principles, not because I'm just in paper, no, but because they are explained by the governmental institutions. Yeah, and then you hope that the people will accept that. But you are right. If you have no money, if you are poor, if you have drugs, you have other problems than to think about principles.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, Prof. Henning Glaser is still on Zoom link, or he's left? Excuse me, Prof. Professor Henning Glaser. Okay. Well, untuk the next answer will be delivered maybe to Prof. Azam Hussein. Time is your, Prof, to be answer more, be short.
Right. Thank you very much,
Because
Mr.
time is very
Chairperson, and
limited.
thank you for the question. I believe that is a very good question and very timely with the we're facing for 5.0, the revolutionary 5.0. Right. For me, it's very simple. Why we need a technology in our daily life? Why we need technology, right? The answer is the first one is we need to do something very fast, right? We want to do something to faster the process, and then to save time, to save cost. So that's why we introduce or we try to use the latest technology in order to make it faster, to reduce the cost, and then to save our time, right? But the question is, what about if we entirely using the technology? As I said before, without any discretionary power, right? Without the discretionary power from the human being. So what will happen? I give you example. In I believe that majority of us lecturers, we are in the universities. What about the examination? We have a multiple choice, A, B, C, D, E, for example, and then you use the OMR. Student will answer the answer for question number 1, A, question number 2, B, question number 3, C, question number 4, D, right? We use the OMR and we put it in the computer, scan it, and then the computer will check it. What about the subjective? What about the subjective? That we need a schema, for example, and then if you entirely using the technology, using the computer to check the answer of your student, what will happen? The computer will read based on the keyword, for example. and then the computer will print out the result. There is no interruption, there is no human intervention at all. So because no discussion, but what if based on the technology, because we go back, why we need the technology? So in this case, we can use it, the technology, in my opinion, the technology is only to complement of our work. We should combine between the technology and the human discretion, right? You talk about, you give example about the implementation of e-court, and then what will happen if all the decision will be made? There is no more judge, right? The judges only the computer, the robot become the judges. They sit on the bench and without they just based on the input during the trial, and then they will come out with the decision. What about the consideration? What about the other factors? How you want to make sure, because we are human, we need a discussion, right? Sometimes we need a consideration. We have to balance, we have to consider several other factors. So in this case, in my opinion, we can use the technology because we cannot stop the technology, but to what extent we have to use it wisely, right? We have to use it wisely. Then, for me, technology, we use the technology, and then it would be good, the combination. Whatever result issued by the computer, for example, and then we have to consider it. Use our brain, use our mind to consider everything, all the surrounding, all the circumstances. And then in this case, it would be good also how the control mechanism, right? The first one is to complement. The second one is, in my opinion, we have to the control mechanism, which I can say that the legal mechanism is something that we can use, right? So that's what we need, because the technology, it will grow very fast, and then we need something to control it. How to control it? Because we want to make sure everything in line. The using of the technology, but at the same time, it's not to harm people. For example, how to control the hatred speech, right? The hatred speech, the power of viral, the power of netizen, right? In Malaysia, we name it a netizen department, right? Netizen department. You cannot control it. They will post everything. They will send it to others. Then how to control it without the law? Then what will happen? So in this case, the technology is there because we cannot stop it, but we have to overcome it by to come out with the legislation. So in this case, the control mechanism should be there. If there is no control mechanism, believe me, ladies and gentlemen, then what will happen to the country? What will happen to the nation? And the third one is we need to nurture, because we cannot stop the technology. We wake up in the morning, the first thing we will refer to our handphone to see the message. Is there any direction? Is there any order from our superior? Is there any task that we need to do it urgently, right? So we cannot stop it. We only have to face it and then make it friendly. The technology make it as a friendly user. So based on that, we need to nurture the public, right? We need to nurture the public. That is the best thing that we need to do. Right?
Yes.
So that is my opinion. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Applause, give applause to our Professor Azam. Okay, next for Mr. Henning is left. Next for time, I give time to Prof. Bambang. Yes.
Okay. To answer distrust, public distrust, we must underline, but technology make it easier for human. Jadi teknologi itu membuat manusia itu jauh lebih mudah sebetulnya. So if technology make difficult human, ya, for human, membuat kita lebih susah, itu ada kesalahan dalam sistem. And we have wrong system. Contoh, example, court, e-court. Ini advokat daftar, dia masukkan pakai teknologi digital, tapi dia masih juga harus membawa berkas itu. Difotokopi, nanti mintakan tanda tangan panitera, kira-kira masuk akal enggak? Karena teknologi itu sebetulnya untuk mempermudah manusia. Ya. Teknologi is make it easier for human. Jadi teknologi itu akan mempermudah kita. So in 5.0 we have used teknologi for, jadi kita menggunakan teknologi itu untuk membuat masyarakat percaya lagi pada hukum. Gimana caranya? Caranya ya menggunakan teori yang kita gunakan, yang saya buat itu namanya activity on glacis. Jadi aparatur penegak hukum itu sudah sangat tahu dan paham bahwa nanti penghasilannya sekian, gajinya sekian, take home-nya sekian, pensiunnya sekian. That's all. No gratification. Jadi nggak ada lagi gratifikasi. Itu bisa terdeteksi kalau kita menggunakan yang namanya teori activity on glacis, menggunakan teknologi 5.0. Ya. Jadi ada data yang nanti mendata dari masing-masing aparatur penegak hukum. Ya. Yang dia terlihat ketika penghasilannya itu bertambah di luar dari standar yang dia bisa dapatkan secara sah, itu udah bunyi tuh. Kayak misalnya kita transfer uang dari luar negeri ke dalam negeri, ya nanti di PPATK itu ada bip-bip itu karena ada transaksi yang tidak wajar. Sampai seperti itu, namanya activity on glacis. Dan untuk menerangkan activity on glacis jauh lebih besar ini butuh waktu, tidak bisa sekarang. Tapi intinya seperti itu. Saya kira demikian, Mas Irwansyah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Give applause to all speakers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize to all the participants because there are several questions don't answer yet. Maybe the other time will be answered. And as the conclusion, for all participants, let's prepare ourselves to face the revolutionary era 5.0, and of course, for 5.0, and let's prepare good legal system for our country. And I'm as the moderator, very apologize if there are several mistakes since handle this international conference and call for paper. And that's all. Thank you very much. I give time to the master of ceremony. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much for that wonderful plenary session, Mr. Irwansyah. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all our plenary session. Please give big applause for those speakers and our moderator. The next activity is giving token, and we invite Associate Professor Bambang to give a token to Prof. Heng Eding. And we also invite the head and the secretary of Program Dr. Ilmu Hukum, and also the chairman of the committee, Mr. Maksum Umar, to come along with them for the given token. Monggo Prof. Anis Pravenda. Nanti foto bersama dengan the chairman of the committee. Take a picture first. Thank you. You may come back to your seat. Ditutup dulu nanti foto bersama. Well, thank you so much. That's all our series of international conference. And after this, we are going to have call for paper. And for those who wants to take picture together, please come forward. And thank you so much for joining us. Our students in Zoom application, thank you so much. That's all the international conference. And we can close it by saying Hamdalah together. Come on. You can come forward and take picture together. Saya ambil foto.
Tiga lapis. Hati-hati. Cari persiapan aja. Apa? Yang penting kelihatan. Bagi habis itu. Bayangan. Naikin sini. Dinaikin dulu. Coba di depan. Endemic era. Nomor pandemi. Enggak kelihatan gitu. 1, 2. Jadi kelihatan tinggi banget. Tapi kan nampak. Yang belakang. Iya bisa di depan. Lebih tinggi lagi. Naik. PDI H19 keren ya. Oh ya. Udah di video belum? PDI